Alright, what's up guys? In this video we're going to pick up some calculus here. I'm going to show you guys how to do implicit differentiation. So we want to use implicit differentiation to find dy over dx. So they give us cosine of y squared plus x is equal to y squared. So for implicit differentiation, we'll go ahead and just differentiate both sides with respect to x. So we'll differentiate this side, which is cosine of y squared plus x. And then we'll differentiate this side with respect to x. Now remember, for implicit differentiation, when you differentiate y with respect to x, you need to multiply by dy over dx. Okay? So over here, if we apply the chain rule for cosine of y squared, that's going to be minus sine of y squared times 2y, because we do have to apply again the chain rule. Now since we differentiated y with respect to x, we have to multiply by dy over dx. Okay, and then this will be plus 1, so that's what we'll have on this side. And then over here we differentiate y with respect to x, so we get 2y. We have to multiply by dy over dx. So that's what you should have when you differentiate both sides with respect to x. Now the goal here is to isolate dy over dx and solve. That's basically the goal. So really the only calculus involved in this is taking the derivatives at the beginning, and then from there it's really just algebra, you moving things around so you can isolate the dy over dx. So don't try to do too many things at once. I see students trying to do that. They try to get everything over to one side all at one time. Remember, equations and things like that need to be done in steps. Don't try to do too many things at once. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and subtract 1 from both sides. So if I do that, I'll have minus sine of y squared times 2y multiplied by dy over dx. And it's going to be equal to 2y times dy over dx minus 1. Now, since we got two dy over dx's and we know we need to solve for just one of them, we need dy over dx to be on the same side with the other dy over dx, because we can end up factoring it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 2y times dy over dx from both sides. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So if I do that, I have minus sine of y squared times 2y times dy over dx. And it's going to be minus 2y times dy over dx. And then over on this side, I'll just simply be left with a minus 1. Now what I can do is I can factor out a minus 2y times dy over dx on this left-hand side. So if I do that, I'll have minus 2y times dy over dx. And if I factor it out, well, it looks like what I'll have on the inside is a positive sine of y squared plus 1, and that's going to be equal to negative 1. Now remember, you can always check as to whether or not you factored out correctly by distributing back in. So if I distribute in that negative 2y times dy over dx back in, do I get this left-hand side back out? And if I do that, yes, I will. So that's the way you can tell whether or not you factor something out correctly. And then all I have to do at this point is just divide both sides by negative 2y times sine of y squared plus 1. So this would be negative 2y dy over dx times sine of y squared plus 1. I'm going to divide this side by negative 2y times sine of y squared plus 1. Now I have to divide this side by that as well. So that would be negative 1 divided by negative 2y sine of y squared plus 1. I know my work over here is a little messy, but just trying to show you what's going to happen. So as we can see, the negative 2y's cancel. The sine of y squared plus 1 also cancels on this side. So the only thing that's left is dy over dx. and that's just going to be equal to my left-hand side, which would be, I can bring my negative, actually, I'm sorry, it's going to be a positive because we get dividing two negatives. Dividing two negatives, same thing as multiplying by two negatives. So this will be 1 over 2y times sine of y squared plus 1. So that's what you'll have. And so as you can see here, we've isolated the dy over dx. So your final answer is what we have there. So your final answer is y over dx is equal to 1 over 2y times sine of y squared plus 1. All right, so let me circle that for you. That'll be your solution. All right, so implicit differentiation is pretty simple. So go through and practice a few of them, and it's not that bad. All right, so I'll see you next time. Y'all take care.